This is the Jocko Underground Podcast number 7 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
All right, so recent conversation that we had, and I just wanted to address it because I think there's some lessons learned. So I forget what triggered the conversation, but I ended up asking you if I had ever crossed the line in my harassment of you. Now, there's actually some background behind this.
This is an off-air conversation.
Yeah, this is an off-air conversation. We were just talking, and I forget what brought it up. Yeah. But John Bozak, when we were younger and we were kids, I was probably like 13, 14 years old, and he's a couple years older than me, so whatever, he was 15 or 16. And, I kind of go hard in the paint, right? I'll never forget it. And it actually left an impact on me. Like I said something to him, some insult, some harassment to him. And he said in a playful but slightly meaningful way, right?
We call that cracking but facking.
Yes. He goes, you always go too far. Mm-hmm. And I remembered that. It was a good life lesson, even at a young age, to think, okay, I have a tendency, there's a possibility that I'm going to go too far. So I was probably harassing you the other day. I was like, wait a second, have I ever crossed the line? And you actually said yes. There was 2 occasions. Go ahead, proceed. Let's hear them.
Yeah, so they weren't. The thing is, and I mentioned this as well, where this isn't necessarily quite the answer to your question, because technically you didn't cross the line. It was just more, it was outside of the whole dynamic, I think. Well, but then again, maybe it wasn't. Anyway, this is what happened. So the first one was at the Origin camp. We were demonstrating some jiu-jitsu moves, and I don't even remember exactly why we were in this situation, but I had to demonstrate the move on you. And in when you demonstrate a move, right, you do it till the other guy kind of taps for the demonstration. Oh, good. Right. Yeah.
And by the way, it's even beyond that. Let's say this is a normal thing for you to expect. You do the move to me, you barely even put pressure, I tap, everyone goes, oh, that's cool. Right. It's not a test of the technique.
Exactly.
It's a display of the technique.
Yeah, demonstration.
Now, that's what a normal good friend / training partner / demonstration partner would do. Be like, oh, here's the guillotine you put on. Once you start to apply the pressure, they tap it. I tap, and it's all good, and now everyone goes and tries it. That's a normal thing to do. What did I do?
Yeah, and even I'll go one further where you said, oh, that's what a normal good partner or whatever. Bro, that's good, bad partner. That's the protocol.
Yeah, that's the protocol.
That's what happens.
If you're showing a move, you go, okay, here it is. Here's what you do, and then the guy, you even give him a little cue, and then the guy taps, and then the guy taps.
That tap is part of the demonstration.
It's part of the demonstration.
It's not like, oh yeah. So anyway, we're talking guillotine and whatever. Jocko's in one of his moods, and so I do the guillotine. And keep in mind, this is all like young guys. So like the young guys meaning early people, white belts. Yeah. So if there's other black belts and you did that, it literally would be a different situation.
True.
So I do the guillotine, and that's one of those ones where you kind of got to do. There's little details that you can't necessarily see. Like if it was an armbar that I wasn't getting or something like that, it'd be like kind of obvious, But anyway, so I'm doing the guillotine, and you're not doing the tap.
I'm not being the good demonstration dummy.
Yeah, you're actually being a bad one. You're being the straight up antagonist person in life at this point in this situation. So, and here's what made it bad. It's not like, okay, you do it. I forget, because there was something like a little bit more of a build-up, kind of like this demonstration this way was kind of required almost. I kind of remember something like that. Anyway, so I'm doing it, and I'm doing it harder and harder, and you're just not tapping. But I could feel I didn't have it in, you weren't even letting me get it in for the demonstration. So I'm like, oh, this guy. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just teach him. I'll just freaking muscle in and go hard and see what up,
Oh, you want to play like that?
Yes.
Here we go.
I had that thought in my mind, and I kept doing it, and you just kept defending, and then everyone's like looking at me.
Which I can't see because I'm in the guillotine. And at some point, probably when you said, oh, you want to play like that? Cool. I'm going to go harder. Yep. And then I probably went, oh, you're going to go harder? Yep. Cool, watch this. And I'm not easy to guillotine. We'll say that, right?
Great. Who cares?
No,
we're demonstrating.
I know, but I'm saying like it's not like. So you had the move on me, but not only am I resisting, I'm also hard to guillotine.
Yeah, so I'm not going to win that little beef. We just sort of that materialized out of the situation. I'm not going to win that. Yeah, I get it. That sucks. Either way, yeah, everyone's looking at me, kind of like, oh, and there was some looks of awkwardness, kind of like, oh, this guy. And whatever, the awkwardness is awkward, it's not awkward, whatever. But the thing that did bother me is like, ooh, you could have jammed up our credibility here with the moves, kind of like, oh, maybe Echo kind of sucks. He can't even do the move right.
So how did this thing resolve? So obviously you squeeze and then you go Jocko's and then
and you're kind of like had this look in your face, kind of like you're so funny or whatever. And everyone's like kind of laughing or whatever, like it's funny. And then later on, maybe even the next day or maybe like the next day or next night even, you, it was in front of everyone now. This was, when we all congregate in the big thing.
Is this an additional item?
No. This is how you kind of made up for it, essentially. Where it was like a Q&A situation. And this is not just the white belts now. This is everybody. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I forget even the question. Oh, you were like, one of the guys said, how close were you to tapping Echo's guillotine that day you were demonstrating? And you were like, oh, I wasn't close. He was like, you know what, though? I got to admit, I was doing stuff to defend the guillotine, to mess with him, in front of him. So you kind of explained what was going on, which was kind of saved it. Actually, it totally did save it.
Did I have hands on your hands? Was I doing that kind of defense? Because I don't remember doing that.
No. It was
just like little adjustments.
I remember when you say, okay, Echo, do the guillotine on me, you don't
just a little
put
high.
it. Oh, yeah. You're just like chin all down or whatever. I was like,
where's this Dean? You get Dean in something,
and
he's like, I'm just not going to tap.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one. That's one time where you felt I crossed the line of, and look, this is a weird thing because do you have an insult or do you have harassment or do you have sort of ribbing? Right, that's the word for like, hey, I'm just we're just giving each other a hard time. That's that's what I wanted to talk about is how do you handle insults? Right, how do you handle when someone's insulting you? And actually. Again, there's this difference between ribbing and fun and actual insults. Now, if someone's ribbing me for fun, if they're giving me a hard time about something, I'm totally cool. I'll laugh. I'll throw some ribbing back at them. I realize that I have all kinds of attributes that are real easy to make fun of, and I'm totally good with it, right? Like, so I'm fine. I think that's good. And I think, I hassle you all the time. Again, not harassment to the tune of like I'm actually trying to impose my, ego and personality on you and I don't do that, right? And you are super chill and laugh at it, and you have a good way of taking whatever ribbing comes your way and utilizing it to carry on and, make a statement about it too. So that's cool. But then when you start talking about actual insults, and here's the other thing, there's a line, right, with people. Yeah. And there's also, how many times have you seen one of those conversations where people are harassing each other and then you like see them? That is a little excerpt of what we are doing on the Jocko Underground podcast. So if you want to continue to listen, go to jockounderground.com and subscribe. And we're doing this to mitigate our reliance on external platforms so we are not subject to their control. And we're doing it so we can give you more control, more interaction, more direct connections, better communications with us, strengthen this legion of troopers that are in the game with us. So thank you. It's jockounderground.com. It costs $8.18 a month. And if you can't afford to support us, we can still support you. Just email assistance@jockounderground.com and we'll get you taken care of. Until then, we will see you mobilized underground.